Determining the best foods for each of Valheim's biomes has changed significantly with the introduction of new cooking appliances and powerful feasts in the Bogwitch update. Fortunately for you, I've crunched the numbers, determined the optimal food combos for each biome, and will explain why this food might be the game's most powerful, and elaborate on why you should prioritize stamina in your food choices over health. Starting in the Meadows, your choices are straightforward, consisting of cooked deer and boar meat combined with honey, yielding max stats. However, I choose to replace boar with raspberries to maximize stamina. In Valheim, stamina is your lifeblood, fueling your attacks, dodges, and evasive sprint. Your best defense in this game is to avoid being hit altogether, where maintaining high stamina will give you your best chance. But your food choices affects more than simply raw stats, but also the amount of passive healing received and duration of food benefits. For instance, by swapping boar meat for raspberries in my Meadows recommendation, I do get more stamina, but comes at the cost of my buff duration and passive healing my character receives. As a result, your choices will only get more complicated from here as we proceed into the Black Forest, and therefore it's important we cover the food basics to ensure we are making informed choices for our meals going forward. While you can't die to hunger in Valheim, you do get really sad. Well, maybe sometimes a little hangry. Anyways, each food increases your life-saving stats prioritized by the fork color in the corner of their icon. Red, health; yellow, stamina; white, a balance of the two; and blue, either, of which you won't see until the Mistlands. A balanced diet is important as only one of any food type can be consumed at once, so 3 unique foods must be chosen. After eating, your stats will increase corresponding to those outlined in the food's description, but the effects will immediately begin to decay, slowly at first, and rapidly towards the end, based on this formula. To illustrate, here's a breakdown of the health and stamina provided by a raspberry and its deterioration over time. As you can see, at about halfway through its duration, it tilts downward before falling off a cliff at expiry. At the halfway point of any food's duration, it will begin to flash in your food bar, indicating new foods can be consumed to replace them. To keep your stats elevated, a Viking should keep their belly full and replace their foods the moment they see this indicator. If needing to change your food buffs more quickly, 2 items exist in the game that make your tummy a little upset, causing you to vomit your existing food in bukeberries found in the Black Forest or rotten meat in the Ashlands. Keep in mind, you're extremely vulnerable while blowing chunks, and if you eat before the debuff expires, that food too will be scattered to the wind. Typically, health-focused foods have longer durations than stamina and provide more passive healing. Again, illustrated by comparing boar meat and honey with a difference of 5 minutes duration and 1 HP healing every 10 seconds. With all that said, there is more to consider than just raw stats when choosing your foods, with duration being a big factor, making the newly added feasts powerful considerations in future biomes, covered shortly. With the basics understood, the Black Forest adds much improved food options with the introduction of the cauldron, following the mining and smelting of tin bars. With that, max stats can be achieved with a combo of carrot soup, queen's jam, and deer stew, matching my recommended selection in this case with my preferred choice of 2 stamina and 1 health food. Entering the swamps is where food choices really get interesting, complex, and powerful. But before we get to that, let me tell you about an exciting new crafting survival game, Rail Gods of Hystera. Enter a world as a dreamer, woken from the dreamlands, bound to a monstrous sentient machine, known only as a rail god. The monstrous beast is more than a train, but a fully customizable stronghold, enabled by assembling specialized carriages offering distinct advantages, but also an ally, evolving with you as your bond deepens. Offer the corpses of your enemies to your train to fuel its growth, unlocking ancient magic and ritual knowledge, equipping you with mystical powers tied to your rail homie. Manage your health, hunger, and sanity as you navigate its harsh, otherworldly environment from station to station along eternal railways with no 2 stops the same. Discover hidden dungeons, anomalies, and battle nightmarish monsters and twisted cultists driven mad by the great old ones who have laid ruin to this world. Combat is dynamic with melee and ranged options, enriched by powerful spells and dark gifts awarded by your bond with your rail god. Tailor your character and train to meet your playstyle and recruit a squad of up to 4 players to scavenge for supplies, craft tools, weapons, and construct and expand your train together. You will need the full power of your Railgod and fellow dreamers to overcome colossal bosses, fragments of the great old one's cosmic will. Dive into this unique twist on the crafting survival genre with Railgods of Hystera available for early access on PC right now. Try it today with my Steam link below. Thank you Railgods of Hystera for sponsoring today's video. The Swampy Wetlands introduces new cooking appliances in the food preparation table, iron cooking station, and first of 5 cauldron upgrades in the spice rack, and the introduction of new feasts with ingredients purchasable from the new Bog Witch's shop. To get the best out of the available foods, you will need to craft all the new cooking appliances, of which I've organized neatly in this sheet with their recipes and introducing biome. In this Google Doc, I provide a full detailed breakdown of each of the foods available in Valheim, but also a simplified look at the best in-slot foods with different options based on your playstyle. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll share how you can get access to this document completely free. And with that out of the way, for max stats in the swamp, you will want to combine turnip stew, sausages, and black soup. But for me, I replace the soup with a muck shake for extra stamina. However, if you've both done battle with the ocean serpent or found the elusive bog witch, your max stats at swamp level progression could be vastly higher. Firstly, a serpent's meat can both be cooked on an iron cooking station or combined with mushrooms and honey at a level 2 cauldron for 2 incredibly powerful health foods that should be a staple in your diet as far as even the plains. Secondly, after beating each boss, a serpent in the case of the ocean, new spices are added to the Bog Witch's shop that can be purchased and combined with other ingredients at the food preparation table for feasts with great stats and even better durations. Feasts, unlike typical meals, are not eaten directly from your inventory, but are placed with a serving tray, also purchasable from the Bog Witch. Once served, any individual feast provides 10 meals, giving a medium tier stat boost and a massive duration of 50 minutes. Be careful though, as the placed feast can't be returned to your inventory without loss after at least one of the 10 meals has been taken. With a serpent slain and witch found, your max achievable stats for the biome rise from 213 all the way to 289 by chowing down on cooked serpent meat, serpent stew, and the ocean's feast, the sailor's bounty. As you begin your ascent, there is a simpler progression than the previous biome with only the butcher's block needed to improve your kitchen sufficiently for the best foods. Like with the swamp, without the bog witch or serpent, max stats are achieved with onion soup, wolf skewers, and ice cream, which aligns with my recommendation. Keep in mind, max stats can be boosted from 252 to 289 by replacing all foods with those found from the ocean in the sailor's bounty, cooked serpent meat, and again, the powerful serpent stew. Do note that if you have beaten Motor, the hearty mountain logger stew equals the bounty in potency if preferred. But for me, I forgo some health for additional stamina with ice cream. Heading into the grasslands comes further complexity with the flour producing windmill, grilling stone oven, and pots and pans cauldron upgrade, all being required for an optimal diet. Best in slot without feasts and serpent meat will include fish wraps, lox meat pie, and blood pudding, with baked foods now first assembled at the food preparation table before baking in the oven. In my recommended kit, I swap fish wraps for bread for more stamina, despite fish wraps providing an extra 2 healing per tick. Plus, fish are a tedious food to gather, so there's a strong argument to be made for bread having much easier ingredients to harvest. Of course, if you're a serpent slayer and feast enjoyer, max stats can be elevated to 316 from 292 by swapping lox pie for serpent stew, and if already defeated Yagluth, the plains pie picnic usurps a freshly baked loaf. Into the mist we go, where only the mortar and pestle cauldron upgrade need to be added, and we can finally outgrow our reliance on serpent meat unless you're a big health guy in cooking the best meals. Although, the Mistlands introduces another complexity with Eider-based foods for spellcasters. As a result, I've included a new category for those Eider maxis, but also my personal food combo recommendations for both melee and magic playstyles. For max stats, leaning into magic is your best approach with the stuffed mushroom, seeker aspic, and the mushrooms galore a la Mistlands feast. But if you're a spellcaster, I typically replace the mushroom with Yggdrasil porridge for a little extra iter at the expense of some stamina. If you've yet to beat the queen, you can forgo the feast with the best stamina food available to you. Before my melee recommendation, I should add the caveat that my spellcasting recommendations do make you a glass cannon and assume you are using the Staff of Protection bubble to absorb incoming damage. Otherwise, you may want to consider including a health food for better survivability. Melee, on the other hand, I, as usual, lean into 2 stamina foods and 1 health with the Misthair Supreme, Mushroom Omelette, and Fish and Bread. Salad is a nice replacement for the omelette or fish and bread, as eggs, and especially the anglerfish, can be more difficult ingredients to track down. Venturing across the steaming waters, the Ashlands adds the rolling pins and cutting boards to our perfect kitchen, achieving level 6 and enabling the game's most powerful delicacies. For max stats and incredible duration, you can take advantage of both the Ashlands and Mistlands feasts and marinated greens for a staggering 494 total stats and nearly 45-minute average duration. My recommended spellcasting kit, however, does lean further into magic by replacing the Mistlands feast with the sparkling shroom shake at the expense of some health and stamina. If you haven't beaten Fodder yet too, you can replace his feast with the queen's. For melee, nearly 400 total stats is achievable with the Scorching Medley, Mashed Meat, and Roasted Crust Pie for a good balance of stamina and health. If you want access to the spreadsheet featured frequently in this video, click the link in the video description, validate with an email, and all this can be yours. And with the perfect food combo, you'll want to pair it with the best weapon, which I cover in this video right here.